Mythical fairies have been part of Christmas lore for centuries. A local artist who is well known for creating fairy houses throughout the Adirondacks has taken her years of expertise now and created a how-to book for home crafters to design and build their own fairy houses. Sally Smith talks with our Derek Muirden this week about her new book being released worldwide in a little more than a week.
Sally's environmental art has always been popular, finding its way into note cards and onto calendars, but it was her fairy houses that really captured the public's imagination. When we heard about her, 4 years ago, we did a story for PBS that went national. And then the New York Times heard about her, and they did a story as well. And then just a year and a half ago, Sally got an email from a book publisher who said, "Sally, we want you to write the Fairy House Builder's Bible." Well, Sally went right to work.
Well, I've always been active out in the woods and hiking, camping, fishing, that sort of thing. And I've always felt the presence of nature spirits in the woods. And as a child, I used to make little houses for them. So it's just something that has continued on in my adulthood.
Sally has earned a living as a talented illustrator for much of her adult life. She's been a sought-after creator of fantasy puzzles, wilderness mythology scenes, and travel posters. She is also an accomplished photographer who documents everything she does, especially the fairy houses. These photographs came in very handy when Sally took on the book project.
One of the things that happens when people see my work is they always want to know, how did I do it? And it's very difficult to describe it because it's a long, complicated process. So doing a book breaks it down into steps so people can see how it's done and so they can do it themselves. That's what I'm ultimately hoping to achieve.
One of the important things that Sally demonstrates in the book, quite clearly I think, is how naturally created materials come together in the construction of the house. Not intimidating in the least, the book speaks to anyone of almost any age who wants to create special places for their own spirits of the forest. It is truly a compendium of one artist's unique talents. In fact, the publisher calls Sally's book the best fairy builder's house book that has been created.
Well, the book is mainly for people who are interested in building and making these houses for themselves. But there are also a lot of inspirational pictures in there, and it's a juicy, lovely thing to look at. So it can appeal to a lot of people, but it's going to appeal mostly to the people who want to make them for themselves, or to give it as a gift to somebody who they know also is interested in making things like this.
You've been building fairy houses all your life. Now you're doing a book distributed internationally. What is the message that you hope to translate in the book from your life's work?
The process of focusing and quieting oneself and tuning out the outside world and just building and creating is a very meditative process that's also centering and calming. And because the materials that we're using are materials that we've gathered from nature, it brings in the natural element. So people who are interested in nature, who are interested in fantasy and fairies, will hopefully feel resonance with this.
And it's okay to keep the fairies happy. That's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. And also keep ourselves happy. Most definitely.
It's a wonderful read full of marvelous plans for that woodland fairy in your neck of the woods. Sally just asks that you only use materials that are discarded naturally by nature. Don't go cutting anything down or tearing the bark off of trees. For example, imagine all the marvelous things you can build with the pine cones that come tumbling into your yard every year. And if you can't, well, it's in the book. For People Near Here on Mountain Lake Journal, I'm Derek Muirden at Sally's house in the Adirondack Mountains.
People Near Here on Mountain Lake Journal is made possible through the support of the law firm of Stafford, Owens, Pillar, Murnane, Kelleher, and Trombley.
Sally's book, Fairy Houses, How to Create Whimsical Homes for Fairy Folk, goes on sale January 1st, 2017. It's published by Cool Springs Press. You can pre-order online through major retailers like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Target, or you can buy it locally at the Bookstore Plus in Lake Placid.